It is a beautiful day in Germany for a change. Here with my little boy Marengo, Smokey, Jilly and Lou. Together the little gang here, the Jilly Dog Gang, we crossed 3,600 kilometers from Bulgaria to Germany on these horses as part of 9,000 kilometers we did on horseback from Ulaanbaatar to Bavaria. We met by chance in a park and we spent 780 days on the road together. Now, there's a lot that we wished we knew before we set off, and we sought a lot of advice from the so-called experts and found out pretty much everything we were told was absolute rubbish. So on our arrival in Germany, we wrote a book together, the 21st Century Cavalry Manual, which is basically everything we wish we knew before we started. We also wrote Wanderlust and COVID Cowboys, which are about our adventures over that 780 days. And it's pretty much just a list of everything we failed at. They say if you're afraid of failure, you'll never really succeed. And we failed at pretty much everything. So what we hope to do today is show how we pack, why we pack that way, and how that packing evolved. This isn't secondhand knowledge, this is our knowledge. We current long riders, we're training for a 4,000 kilometer loop around the European Alps, and then we're going to look at riding to Singapore from Germany. So this is real advice from the horse's mouth, so to speak, not secondhand. Hope you enjoy our video. So before we get on to actually how we pack a horse, the most important thing to consider is the overall weight that you carry on the horse, the balance, and the saddle fit. If your saddle isn't fitted correctly, it's pointless. Horses aren't meant to carry people. I say that again and again and again. So I'll just quickly cover the load-bearing surface of the horse. Now, when you're packing, you're carrying all of that extra weight. You can see that imprint of where the saddle's been on this guy here, on Marengo. We can't go back past the last rib. You can have like a blanket or something sitting there, but if you have anything putting any weight back here, it rubs out very quickly on the horse's spine there, and it's just not meant to carry weight there. Horses are not supposed to have us sitting on them. And also the shoulder, which can be found from the mane there. This part in here, we can't have anything touching the withers. And again, just staying on that loin. We can't go too far down the loin either, or we start to pull it off the ribs and pull it away from the spine. And it's really important that we keep all the way down the horse's spine clear. And on longer rides, you want a saddle that's a bit wider at the back here, because when you turn, you don't want the coming in and hitting the spine. There'll be extra weight on the saddle, and all of this can be really damaging. All right, so we had to start somewhere with bags. Our bags were too big, poorly fitted at the start, and one of the worst things we did is we had them going underneath the saddle. No, there's no apples there, little man. We went through many incarnations of bags to get to where we are now. And where we are now, if you just come around the side here, Louisa, is we have bags to the rear here. We carry a roll bag, and we also have extra bags on the front here. These fit a 1.5 litre bottle of water. That's got a bottle of wine in it at the moment. These have got delicious hefe. So this is the setup that we go for. I'll just go over the bags, but I'll do that in another video that I'll cut to right now using the magic of television. Okay, so I've just got a saddle prototype here, so I'll use this as a demo. I'm not showing on the horse because you can see it better from this angle. Obviously the horse is higher, and I just want to protect the intellectual property regarding how we actually attach the girths, seeing as I spent hundreds of hours figuring it out. So as I mentioned, the load-bearing surfaces of the horse, that's what we have to consider. And if you have your saddlebags going underneath, you're putting weight directly on the spine. So what we do is we recommend that everyone has their saddlebags go over the saddle seat itself. So the majority of the weight is put down through this 50mm strap, and you can see that's pretty much right where your bum goes. So it's putting the weight down as it's supposed to through the saddle, through the load-bearing surfaces. Now, I've seen people attach the bags to the girth to stop them moving about. In my opinion, that's a terrible idea, because when you interfere with the natural movement of the girth, you're potentially going to get more horse rubs. We hold the bags in place by having them tight around the back of the cantle here. And this one here is basically just to balance them. So we set them so they're parallel to the ground, and they balance nicely on the horse. And they can't pull left or right because of them being secured around the cantle. Now we just have 2 clips here which attach to the girth tie points, and that basically pins our bags at the hip. Okay, so when you look at this from above, you can really see how it locks itself in place, and this will stop most of your left and right movement with the saddlebags. I see a lot of people will put stupid huge bags on the back of a saddle. Now there's a few problems with that, but the biggest is we're past the ribs, and although you can have little like blankets and things resting here, if you put weight on this part of the horse, it does it a lot of damage very quickly. So around about 300 kilometers in, and we're guilty of this, we've made this mistake, you'll start to lose fur and the horse will actually start to show quite a bit of discomfort. You can get away with it for a few days or on a short ride, but it's just not ethical. It's just not showing the horse the degree of empathy it deserves. So you see our stuff is all the way clear, and you can see that is really secured to the saddle. If you can grab your bag and wobble it like that, it's going to disrupt the balance. If it flops around independently of the saddle, that is, it's going to disrupt the balance of the saddle and cause wear here, there, and everywhere on your horse. So this needs to be nice and secure, and if humanly possible, off the horse's spine. Okay, so when it comes to bags here, I've already talked about how they sit over the top here. What you put in them needs to be balanced. We balance ours each and every day using a pair of fishing scales. That's the absolute key to it. So these are locked in, like you can see the saddle move. The bag's really not moving independently by itself. Yes, it can bounce a little. It's just got an empty bag in it, so it's easy to move. Don't overpack them. Less is more, and make sure it's right across the seat of the saddle. If it's going under the saddle, it can slide either way and it puts pressure on the spine. You do not want that. Like I keep saying, horses aren't meant to be ridden. We've only got a limited degree of space we can put pressure on, so make sure it's all evenly going through that. Okay, so I always go on about the load-bearing surfaces of the horse. You can put things over the withers, but it needs to be things like a coat. Now, this bag here, I'll take it off to show you. This is where we carry our extra water, wine, beers, and things like that. You can see that goes straight over the horn. So all the weight is going down through those load-bearing surfaces through the saddle, not onto the horse's withers. A coat over the front, it's a great spot for it. And if you have a look here, you can see how heaps of clearance at the side. The shoulder is free. The horse can move without any discomfort whatsoever. And with these here, again, the weight's on the saddle. So when I pop this one on, you'll see he's got all of that weight. When that pulls tight, it's basically nothing on his shoulder. So all the parts of the horse you need to put weight down on, it all comes down through here. That's where you want your weight going. If you flop something over in front of the saddle like you would need to with an English saddle, you can see how, because there's nowhere to attach on an English saddle, putting that across a horse's neck, we're putting weight right where we shouldn't do it. So be very, very, very careful, and always have that clearance on the sides of the withers, which goes on to another point. Now we use 2 girths, and you'll see the second girth is done up just as tight as the front girth. Now when you've got all of this extra weight on the saddle can tip. So especially if you're going downhill, it'll come forwards and put pressure up here and cause you rubs and all kinds of other problems. So we use the breastplate. Now that mainly keeps the saddle from going side to side. Yes, it does stop it from going back, but mainly its purpose for us is to stop the saddle going side to side. With all of this extra weight, we need that. The second girth here really stops the saddle moving forwards or backwards. So 2 mohair girths is the solution for us. Saddle fit, can't go on enough about how important that is. Overall weight and balance. See, everything's nice and neatly balanced across the horse and nothing really moves. So I'll do a little ride in it and show you. the canter it moves less, but that really shows that just things stay right where they're supposed to. It's very comfortable for me and very comfortable for Mr. Marengo. So that's how we do it, eh boy? All day long. In the saddle, in full gear, with 4 days worth of food, water, tent, sleeping bags, everything I need. I weigh 90 kilos. This guy is a Cavalry Cross Arabian. He weighs about 450 to 475 kilos, and he's capable of actually carrying 130 kilograms. So I could put 40 kilograms more on this horse. Never would dream of it. Wouldn't dream of it. He's just perfect the way he is. Beautiful thick cannon bones.